For some reason, Mill thought I was stealing and threw all my things outside because my baby is ugly. Mike, 30, and I have been married for 3 years. I am 28 years old and he is 30 years old. We just had our first child, a boy named James. Because of my mother-in-law Linda, 55F, what should have been a happy time turned into a nightmare. I was never liked by Linda. When Mike showed me off to his parents, Linda made it clear that she didn't think I was good enough for her son. I come from a poor family, but Mike's family is wealthy. Linda was always mean to me about my job as a nurse, telling Mike that someone who does nothing but change bedpans could do a better job. We got married anyway because Mike and I fell in love. Mike and I met at an event for good causes. There with him were his friends, and I was volunteering as part of my training to become a nurse. We hit it off right away because we both liked helping people. Mike was nice and didn't care that I wasn't rich, which was different from other guys I'd met. He liked how hard I worked to become a nurse. Things got serious quickly. We were talking about getting married in less than a year, when I met Linda for the first time. So he had to wait. She then tried to plan a big, pricey wedding that we couldn't afford when that didn't work. Mike told us no, and our wedding was small and sweet. She was mad the whole time. She even spoke out and said she hoped I would become as important to their family as they were. I felt bad about it. But Mike and I tried not to let it ruin our day. Linda kept making issues after we got married. Even though we were married, she tried to set Mike up with other women. Because of my family, she said Mike was going to settle down with me and our kids would be close. Linda didn't like me as much because Mike always stood up for me. Linda would show up at our house out of the blue. She would say bad things about our food, our furniture, and everything else. She even brought a girl she wanted Mike to date one time and said they met by chance. Mike was so mad that he didn't talk to his mom for weeks. Mike and I were happy, even though Linda was mean. We both had good jobs. I became the head nurse at the hospital, and Mike was doing well at the business his family owned. We didn't have a baby right away because we wanted to be ready. Lena wasn't happy when we told everyone I was pregnant. In her words, she wished the child would look like Mike's family. She came to all of our doctor's appointments, even though we asked her not to. She asked us about everything, from our doctor to the vitamins I took. Lena got worse as I got closer to giving birth. So I could stay with her for the last month of my pregnancy. She said she didn't trust Mike to take care of me. We got into a big fight because I said no. I was in labor for 36 hours before it was time to give birth. Mike was with me the whole time, even though it was hard. We were so happy when James was born. Like Mike, he had a lot of dark hair. It took us 2 days to get home from the hospital after giving birth. I was happy and tired. Mike called our loved ones to let them know we were on our way home. She said she would help, but we told her we wanted some time to be alone as a new family. Our front yard was a mess when Mike drove us home. We were shocked to see all of my things there. Everyone in the neighborhood could see my books, clothes, and nurse outfits. Linda looked smug as she stood in the hallway. I was shocked. Mike was mad. He told James and me to stay in the car while he talked to Linda. Linda began to yell as he walked to the house. "How dare you come back, you catfish?" She screamed. "You've never been good enough for my Mike, and now I have proof." Mike didn't understand. "What are you talking about this time?" he asked in a yell. Jim was in the car, and Linda pointed at him. "That child is not Mike's. As babies, no one in our family looks that bad. You lied to my son and are now putting him in a bad situation with someone else's child." What I heard made no sense to me. Cindy wouldn't listen when Mike tried to explain. She told me over and over that I was bad and that she was keeping her son safe from a liar. James and I got out of the car and started to cry. I begged Linda to stop. But she kept calling me names. Mike had enough. She was told to leave our house by him. She said no because she had to help her son and grandson. She forgot that she had just said the baby wasn't Mike's. He showed it to them and told them they had to leave right away. "You are no longer welcome here." She thought Mike would stand up for her, but he didn't. "You need to leave. He made it clear that what you did is unacceptable." Linda knew she had lost. She yelled that she'd be back to save Mike and James from me as she left with her bag. Mike and I took James inside and put him in his crib after she left. After that, we talked about what took place. Mike was mad at his mom. He couldn't believe she would try to kick me out of the house and say I cheated on her. It took us hours to clean up and bring my stuff back inside. Linda and other family members kept leaving messages on Mike's phone. Cindy had already lied to everyone about me cheating. Mike and I chose what to do that night after James went to sleep. Linda couldn't come to our house or see James until she admitted she was wrong and behaved herself. Mike told his mom he wouldn't talk to her for a while. How did things go? I called my parents the next day and told them. They told us they would come stay with us to help and were very angry. "Yes," we said. "These events took place a week ago, and things are still bad." Linda calls and texts me all the time, sometimes to say she's sorry and sometimes to accuse me again. "We're not going to change our minds. Even though Mike's dad is trying to make peace, some family members of Mike believe that we are being too harsh on Linda. They say she only wanted to keep Mike safe. To keep the family together, they want us to forgive her. But some people get why we're mad and agree with our choice to keep Linda away until she changes her mind. I feel sorry for Mike. Our new baby should be making us happy right now, but he has to deal with family problems and his mom betraying him. I want to help him and look after James. But I can tell this is really making him feel bad. I'm also hurt and mad. I've always tried to be a good wife to Mike, and now I try to be a good mom to James. This attack from Linda is almost too much. She is trying to hurt my family and hurt me. It's really tough for both of us. Having a new baby and all this drama are making me feel a lot of different things. Mike wants to be strong for James and me, but I can tell he's tired and worried. There's more to our lack of sleep than just the baby. Mike has thought about getting Linda a protection order, but he is afraid of what his family would do. We don't want things to get worse. To get away from all this trouble, we've talked about moving to a different place. It doesn't seem fair that we should have to move because of Linda's behavior, though. We like our jobs and our house. Mike talked to his dad in the hopes that he could make Linda see sense. But his dad doesn't want to see it. It seems like he's used to letting Linda do what she wants to keep things calm. I used to believe that family was important, but now I'm not sure. Do you really want to be with someone who can hurt you so much, even if that person is your wife's mother? Mike and I have talked about getting help from a counselor. It's hard to stay together when we're both so tired and mad. It's also hard to find time for therapy when you have a new baby. When Linda showed up at Mike's office last week, things got even worse. She cried in public and told everyone that Mike was keeping her child away from her. Mike's boss didn't like the fact that Mike's coworkers were shocked. Michael had to tell his boss what happened, which made him feel bad and stressed. Then Linda began calling my place of work. People at work told her I wasn't a good mother and that I had her son with another man's kid. Even though my boss understood, it made me feel bad. I was afraid it would hurt my job. Emma, Mike's sister, who is 27F, joined in next. At first, she agreed with Linda and thought the lies about me cheating were true. She called Mike and said some very mean things about him, like how he picked me over his real family. This made Mike very angry because he and Emma had always been close. But then something strange happened. Emma came to our house one day while Mike was at work. She told me she had to see the baby for herself. I was scared, but I let her in. She changed how she felt the moment she saw James. It was clear that Linda had been lying when she saw how much he looked like Mike. Emma told me she was sorry and would talk to the rest of the family. She became our biggest fan and spoke up for us in front of Linda and the rest of the family. This made Mike's family fight a lot, with people picking sides. She didn't like that Emma was now on our side. She began to say that Emma was jealous because she wasn't married and didn't have any children of her own. She was really hurt by this. When Linda hired a private detective to follow me around, things got even stranger. She was sure that I was still cheating since I had already done it once. I took the pie with me to work, the shop, and even to the doctor's office. Something about it scared and hurt me. Mike was very angry when he learned about the pie. He told Linda that he would get a protection order against her if she didn't stop. Nicole cried and said she was only trying to keep her son safe, but Mike no longer believed her. When Linda tried to file for grandparents' rights, that was the last straw. She talked to a lawyer about getting legal time with James. The lawyer told her she didn't have a case, which was good because James was so young and she had never met him. My health began to suffer from all this stress. It was hard for me to make enough milk for James, and I was losing weight quickly. My doctor was afraid that I might have postpartum depression. Mike told me I needed to take some time off work to rest and get better. Mike's dad finally understood how bad things were. He came to our house and said he was sorry he hadn't helped us sooner. He said he would deal with Linda and back our choice to keep her away from our family. Now that James is 3 months old, things are finally beginning to calm down. Linda doesn't call or text as often now. Most of Mike's family gets where we're coming from. Emma comes to see James often and has become his great aunt. What do you think of Reddit AITA for standing up for Mike, throwing his mother out and not letting her see her grandson? Update 1, 6 months after the first post. There's been a lot going on since my last post 6 months ago. Thanks to everyone who helped me and gave me advice. It's been a wild ride, and I'm thankful for this group. What's been going on? Linda became more rude. She began going to our neighbors' houses and lying about us to them. She told them to call child services because we were bad parents. Some of our friends believed her and began to look down on us. Some people came up to us and told us what she was doing. Having our private lives known to everyone in the neighborhood was embarrassing and worrisome. Cindy came to our house one day while Mike was at work. She yelled and banged on the door for a long time. While Linda screamed outside, I held James and tried to keep him quiet. I was scared. She left before the cops got there, but I called them. Police took a report. But since she was not there, they said they couldn't do much. We chose to put security cameras around our house after that scary event. Mike's job started to suffer because of the stress. His boss told him that Mike seemed to be busy and that his work was getting worse, so he called him in for a talk. Mike had to tell his mom about everything that was going on. Even though Mike's boss understood, he told him that he needed to focus on work or else it could hurt his job. These extra costs made our already tough position even worse. To help out, my parents came to stay with us for a while. They were great with James and let Mike and I rest and hang out. She didn't like this at all, though. She told other people that my parents were trying to turn Mike against his real family. Even calling my dad's workplace to say he was a drinker and shouldn't be around kids was too much for her. Of course he was lying, but my dad had to answer his boss's questions, which made him feel bad. When Mike's cousin Amy got married, things got even worse. The wedding wasn't open to us because Linda told the family that we didn't want to be a part of it anymore. She told them that we felt great about ourselves now that we had a child. This hurt Mike a lot. He loved Amy and was excited to be at her wedding because they were close as kids. At the wedding, they tried to protect us. She told everyone the truth about what Linda had done. She tried to kick me out of my own home and said I was cheating on her. This led to a big fight at the meeting. Some family members agreed with us that Linda had gone too far. Some people still believed Linda's lies, though, and said Emma betrayed the family. So bad was the fight that Amy, the bride, broke down in tears. Everyone had to leave the gathering early because her new husband was so mad. Amy later called Mike and was crying. She said that our family problems had ruined her wedding. Mike was sorry, but it wasn't his fault. Mike's family was split down the middle after the wedding mess. Some people stopped all communication with us by blocking us on social media and not picking up the phone when we called. Others called to say they were sorry and that they believed us. Mike's Uncle Joe, who is Linda's brother, was very helpful. He said he had always known his sister could be tough, but he didn't think she would act this way. Linda then tried something different. She changed into a really nice person. She sent James gifts and a card to say she was sorry. She even sent Mike and me gift cards to fancy places because she wanted us to have a nice night out together. At first we were wary, but there was a part of us that hoped she had finally seen how wrong she was. Mike really wanted to think that his mom had changed. He missed being able to talk to her normally, even though I felt bad about it. We decided to let Linda come over. We made it clear that she could only come over when Mike and I were home, and she couldn't be with James by herself. Things looked good at first. Linda was nice to me and loved James a lot. She even brought a meal she had made herself because she remembered how much Mike loved her cooking. But it was all a show. When Mike went to the bathroom on Linda's third visit, she tried to run away with James. She had a packed bag hidden in her purse and her car running in the garage. She might have been able to take our son if my mom hadn't been there to stop her. We called the police right away, and this time Linda was arrested for trying to kidnap someone. Mike felt terrible when he saw his mother being arrested and put in a police car. He started to cry because he felt like he had let down both his mom and his son. She was locked up for the night. The shock of being arrested seemed to finally wake up Mike's dad to how bad things were. The next day, he looked sad and tired when he came to see us. He told us he was divorcing Linda and said he was sorry we didn't believe him sooner. He asked if he could still be a part of James's life and said he would follow our rules. We agreed to let him visit after a long talk, but made it clear that he couldn't tell Linda anything. Mike felt both happy and sad that his family was breaking up. He was glad that his dad finally saw the truth. He began therapy to deal with all of his feelings. He's been able to deal with the stress and shame better thanks to it. I went back to work part-time. At first it was hard to leave James, but now I have something else to focus on. My co-workers have been very helpful, especially since they learned about all the trouble with Linda. It has been very helpful that my boss let me change my plan so I could be home when Mike's dad comes to see James. Even though things are crazy around him, James is doing great. He's getting bigger quickly and every day he looks more like Mike. Sometimes it hurts to think that he won't be able to talk to his grandma. But we know it's for the best. We're doing everything we can to show him love and good vibes. During all of this, we've grown closer to Emma. She comes over a lot and gets along great with James. She has really been there for Mike and helped him remember the good times they had with their mom. She also agrees with his choice to keep Linda away. Linda tried to turn Emma against us again, but Emma stood her ground. Emma made it clear to Linda that she needed professional help and that she would not be seeing her again until she got it. Linda didn't like that she couldn't control Emma. People began to believe that Emma was high on drugs, which is why she was on our side. She even called the cops and put drugs in Emma's car. The police were suspicious of the anonymous tip, so Emma wasn't charged, but the whole thing was scary and made her look bad. Emma had trouble at work because she was accused of using drugs. The rumors reached Emma's boss, who chose to let her go even though there was no proof. This was done to avoid any problems. Emma was very sad. She worked hard to get her job, but now she doesn't have one because her mother lied to her. Emma said she would stay with us while she looks for work, and we agreed. It's been nice having her here, but our house is getting pretty crowded. It's really hard for Mike's dad to make things right. He said he would pay for family treatment for all of us, even Linda, if she agreed to go. After a lot of discussion, Mike and I finally decided to do it, but only if Linda agrees to first get help for her behavior. Last week was our first time in therapy. It was absolutely impossible. She said she just wanted her family back and cried a lot. She talked about how lonely she is now that Mike's dad has left her. Her therapist was strict with her and told Linda she had to own up to what she had done and realize how bad it was. It made Linda mad to hear that. She yelled at the therapist and said that she was on our side. Then she stormed out of the session. After that, Mike was mad because family. This was done so many times that Mike's boss had to tell her she could no longer go there. Mike is having a tough time at work because of this. We're afraid that it will make him less likely to keep his job when the company changes things. James is also starting to feel bad about everything going on with Linda. He's been having scary dreams at night. They make him very upset when we leave him with them. He sobs and doesn't want us to leave. The law is also giving us new trouble. Linda learned that we want to change our minds. It's important that Linda won't be able to take care of us if something happens. Linda got very angry when she heard this. She says she will go to court against us if we try to change the will. She says we're crazy from all the stress and can't decide what to do. Our lawyer says Linda can't do much about this, but we're still very worried. Mike's dad wants to help, but he's having his own issues. They are splitting up, and things are not going well. Some crazy things are being said by Linda about Mike's dad. He had saved a lot of money for old age, but she wants to take it all. We need to help Mike's dad. We wish we had more money, but we don't have any right now. That's where we are now. Things are getting better, but it's still very hard to understand. Many people are asking me why our family is having money problems after I said Mike's family was wealthy. That's it. You now know the answer. Mike's family is very wealthy. That only refers to his parents, not him. 3 updates, 1 year after the second and 2 years after the first post. My last post was a year ago, and a lot has happened since then. I finally found the login for this account. I appreciate all the help and advice you gave me in the comments and direct messages. The trip has been hard, but we're still here. What's been going on? Mike lost his job. A lot of people were fired by the company, and Mike was one of them. It hurt a lot. We saved some money, but it wasn't enough after all the money we spent on lawyers because of Linda. To help, I worked extra hours at the hospital, but it's been hard. Of course, Linda saw this as her chance to step in. She called and texted Mike all the time. She told us she could help us and give us money if we let her back into our lives. We didn't pay attention to her at first, but she kept going on. With a check-in, and she even tried to break into our house one day. Mike hit her with the door. I was so proud of him for not giving up. She didn't give up, though. She told everyone that things were hard and that we couldn't take good care of James. She told Child Protective Services that we couldn't feed our son because we were broke. They came to check on us, and it was embarrassing and scary. They quickly saw that James was being cared for, though. Mike's dad tried to help us. We didn't want to take the money he offered, but we did. We had to have it, but we felt bad about taking it since we knew he was having a hard time too. His split from Linda was getting bad. Linda wanted a half share of everything, even his income. She was taking too long in court and making it as painful and expensive as she could. Things got even stranger after that. Somehow Linda got Mike's resume and began sending it to companies as if she were Mike. She even made fake email accounts in his name. Mike began to get calls for job interviews that he had never applied for. It was a mess. We had to call these companies for hours to describe what was going on. Some of them put Mike on a dark list because they thought he was dangerous. It has sped up his job search a great deal. Emma, Mike's sister, has been our rock the whole time. She's been helping us with James, Mike's job search, and getting in the way of the rest of the family. But it's making her feel bad. She's always tired and stressed out. We learned that she's been taking worry pills to deal with everything. We're sorry that our problems are making her so upset. We believed things would get worse, but they did. Linda spread false information about us on social media. She made a fake Facebook page called Justice for Grandma, but it has since been taken down. On it, she writes many lies about us. She says we're abusing our child and turning them against her. She also says Mike is a drinker, which he isn't, and that I'm having an affair with Mike's boss, which I'm not. Mike doesn't even have a boss right now. Some people in Mike's family believe her. While his cousin yelled at Mike at the grocery store for leaving the family, His aunt started making mean comments on my Facebook posts. So many people have been blocked. It seems like we're losing all of our friends and family. But things were going to get worse. The babysitter for James called us one day. They said Linda had shown up and said she was allowed to pick up James. They knew what was going on and stopped her from taking him, which was lucky, but it scared us to death. Because we were having money problems, we had to take James out of that school and find him a new one. We decided we needed to go to court after that happened. We asked for a court order to stop Linda from bothering us. The court case was very rough. Linda was a great-grandmother who played the sad, poor role. Her only wish was to see her child, which made her cry. Our lawyer, on the other hand, showed all the proof of her abuse and the attempted kidnapping. The judge upheld the order to stop the harm. We thought Linda would stop being sneaky, but she did it again. She did what she always did and sent flying monkeys after us. Mike, on the other hand,